I took the decision to pay homage to everyone who helped create Las Vegas. Wayne Newton, who was once acclaimed as Mr. Las Vegas because to his velvet voice and tens of thousands of spectacular performances, was friends with Frank, Dean, Sam, Bobby Darin, and everyone else. He used to have everything, including lavish residences and dazzling lights, Arabian horses worth millions of dollars, and global awe. But he was also burned down by the same light. Mountains of debt, countless lawsuits, business dreams that failed, and a reputation damaged by degrading scandals and mafia suspicions were all hidden behind the loud applause. Wayne Newton was forced to stay on stage at the age of 83, not as a victorious celebrity, but as a survivor bearing the wounds of a failed life of luxury, as what appeared to be unending splendor turned into a jail. Born on April 3, 1942, in Norfolk, Virginia, Wayne Newton came from a low-income household. Patrick Newton, his father, was a mechanic. Evelyn Marie Smith, his mother, was a stay-at-home mom who was totally focused on the family. His ancestry was a complicated mixture: English, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, and German, along with the notion that his father had Powhatan blood and his mother Cherokee, but neither tribe formally acknowledged either. Later, this blending of his history was incorporated into the narrative he used to support his identity. Wayne Newton's early years were marred by a persistent worry that he might become unwell at any time. Because of his chronic asthma, the family decided to move permanently to Phoenix, Arizona in 1952, per the doctor's advice, in the hopes that the dry heat might help him. Wayne Newton turned to music for comfort throughout the long days he spent fighting illness. At the age of 6, he started singing with his brother Jerry and taught himself how to play the piano, guitar, and steel guitar. After participating in every talent show they could, the two brothers won the Lou King Rangers competition and attracted the attention of cool TV promoter Tom Chauncey, who offered them their own show, Rascals in Rhythm. From then, Wayne and Jerry made a lot of trips, singing in front of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, appearing on ABC's Ozark Jubilee, and touring with the Grand Ole Opry. Participating, however unsuccessfully, in Ted Mack's original amateur hour. Wayne Newton demonstrated leadership early on at North High School in Phoenix, where he joined the ROTC and served as class president in the 10th grade. The brothers' signing by a Las Vegas promoter for a 2-week engagement at the Flamingo in 1958, however, marked a sea change. They had such a positive response that they were given a 1-year contract. Newton took the audacious decision to leave school and seek a career in theater while still in his junior year, a choice that is both risky and promising. Wayne Newton was categorized as accessible only in case of emergency due to his asthma at the age of 18, while his peers were getting ready for military service. He took a different route, performing for American soldiers abroad, which marked the start of his dual persona as the spiritual comrade of American warriors and the voice of Las Vegas. Wayne Newton's opportunity to enter the national spotlight came in 1962, following years of roving the Las Vegas circuit. He did Danny Boy on The Jackie Gleason Show. The moving performance moved viewers all over America, and Newton gained popularity over the course of the following 2 years after making 12 appearances on what was then referred to as the Cathedral of Entertainment Television. He went on to larger stages as a result of that breakthrough. He met singer Bobby Darin at the Copacabana in New York City, who not only gave him advice, but also took Newton under his wing. In addition to producing albums for him, Darin gave him a unique present, Danke Schön, a song that was written specifically for Darin. Wayne Newton's velvet voice gave the song a unique sound, propelling it to number 13 on the 1963 Billboard Hot 100 and leaving his mark on the pop music landscape in America. Newton quickly started to venture into the television industry. He appeared as an innocent, wide-eyed rural lad singing with animals on The Lucy Show in 1965. Despite playing a minor role, the character had such an impact that CBS thought about basing a whole sitcom around her. However, Newton rejected it on Lucille Ball's own recommendation. You will be stuck as the gullible boy, and it will be difficult to get out if you accept it. It was a daring move that demonstrated his determination to follow his path, even if it meant losing his celebrity right now. Wayne Newton's voice, charisma on stage, and astute decisions helped him become more than just a Las Vegas star. He rose to fame across the country and was well known in early 1960s American pop culture. As the Rat Pack approached their later years and Elvis Presley passed away, Las Vegas needed a new face to maintain its appeal. The public naturally saw Wayne Newton as the heart of the city's casinos and showrooms for 20 years, and he swiftly became the cornerstone of the Strip. With shows lasting up to 3 hours, he controlled the largest stages, including Desert Inn, Frontier, and Sands. He kept audiences captivated with stories, music, and his distinctive charisma. Newton's attendance records continued to drop, making him an indispensable figure. At his height, he was paid more than even Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley, making him the most paid celebrity in Las Vegas history, according to Esquire magazine. Newton kept putting out successful records after leaving the Vegas scene. With nearly 1 million copies sold and an RIA Gold certification, Daddy Don't You Walk So Fast peaked at number 4 on the U.S. charts and at the top of the Australian and Canadian charts in 1972. His influence went well beyond nightclubs to the mainstream record market, as seen by the album of the same name, which peaked at number 25 on the Billboard 200. He also made appearances at significant international events and television shows. He appeared live on the BBC in London with Glenn Campbell in 1975. In 1983, he was selected to play for the 4th of July event in Washington, D.C.'s National Mall. Following a contentious choice made by James G. Watt, the Secretary of the Interior. That incident solidified Wayne Newton's status as a national voice in addition to his status as a Vegas star. Wayne Newton was more than just the Dankeschön singer of the 1960s from the 1970s to the early 1990s. Every traveler to the city aspired to see him on stage at least once, as he had become the quintessential Vegas icon. Newton had had enough of being a hired hand on Vegas stages by the 1980s. He had been subject to contracts run by entertainment businesses under the Howard Hughes empire for years, and his desire to break free from that reliance drove him to pursue his dreams of being a true owner. The Aladdin Hotel and Casino, one of the Strip's emblems of luxury, was his exact target. Newton looked for outside financiers to help carry out this audacious scheme, including Guido Penosi, who was allegedly connected to the mafia. That collaboration sparked a media frenzy that was unheard of in Mr. Las Vegas's career. According to an investigative investigation shown by NBC in 1980, Wayne Newton relied on organized crime to obtain the Aladdin purchase. The people was stunned by the broadcast. Suddenly, a man who had long been regarded as a polished performer was accused of having connections to the criminal underground. In response, Newton filed a slander lawsuit against NBC. He initially achieved a win. He was given $19.3 million in damages by the court. Later, that amount was lowered to $5.2 million. Ultimately, the ruling was completely overturned by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The rationale of the court: there was no proof that NBC had intentionally reported lies or acted maliciously. As a result, Wayne Newton was unable to remove the looming suspicion from his name. The harm extended much beyond the lawsuit's loss. The damage to Newton's reputation was severe and long-lasting. He was once the epitome of Vegas glitz, but now he was under suspicion of having mafia connections. The public started to question him. Did murky deals drive those glittering performance nights? Wayne Newton's career path was marred by controversy from this point on, and it was the start of an endless series of legal and financial issues. Following the early 1980s media frenzy, Wayne Newton reached a point where his financial downfall could no longer be hidden by the spotlight. Over time, he evolved from a performer who was acclaimed as the king of Las Vegas to a real-life example of a celebrity who spends far more than he can afford. Wayne Newton filed for bankruptcy in 1992 with an estimated $20 million in debt. $341,000 that was owing to the IRS was one of them. In addition to making him feel ashamed, the blow led to years of growing debt and legal troubles. Newton was the subject of another IRS probe in 2000. He was charged with not disclosing the $200,000 proceeds from the sale of an Arabian horse. Kathleen, his wife, was accused of failing to disclose almost $400,000 in 1999, and more than $500,000 from the family's enterprises in 1999 to 2000. Additional penalties resulted from Newton's alleged overreporting of employee wages at the same period. His attorney retaliated vehemently. Wayne Newton is owed money by the IRS. The problems continued after then. Newton was sued by the IRS once more in 2005 for not paying $1.8 million associated with a home he had sold. A seemingly insignificant element that revealed the extent of his financial desperation was the lawsuit he received in 2009 for something nearly ridiculous: unpaid invoices for hay to feed his horses. The demand increased even more in 2010. Newton failed to return the $3.35 million he borrowed on time, and his longtime friend Alberton Smith filed a lawsuit demanding payback. He suffered yet another blow to his reputation and finances the same year, when he was compelled to pay his former private pilot almost $500,000. The once celebrated Mr. Las Vegas became a sour joke after one lawsuit after another. According to several sources, Newton was completely broke by the late 2000s at the age of 80. Tax bills, lawsuits, and unavoidable loans now bound the man who formerly had private aircraft, million-dollar horses, and opulent residences. Wayne Newton risked on a fresh wager during this financial collapse, not in a casino in Las Vegas, but on his own stage. He collaborated with well-known musician and host Tony Orlando in 1997 to open the 2,100-seat theater TOWN. When two seasoned celebrities joined forces to develop a new entertainment center, the initial expectations were extremely high, and the venue quickly became one of the most popular attractions in Las Vegas. But the harshness of reality prevailed. The 2,100-seat hall was never filled. Attendance only varied from 360 to 900 each night. The project soon became an overwhelming financial burden due to the $2 million lease. A scandal threw the theater into a tailspin before it could bounce back. In their joint workplace, Orlando's son found covert recording equipment. Orlando said right away that Wayne Newton had set them up to spy on him. Newton rejected it, saying they were essentially worthless pieces of subpar show recording equipment. However, trust had already been betrayed for Orlando. A friendship that lasted over 30 years ended in resentment. Later on, Newton thought, "I've never broken up with someone over money," but he did. The two had ceased playing together by 1998. Newton took on the full responsibility and formally christened the venue the Wayne Newton Theater in 1999, a year later. The TOWN's comments just made the disaster worse rather than improving his reputation and financial situation. Great aspirations, quick failures, and irreparably broken friendships. Casa de Shenandoah was the physical manifestation of Wayne Newton's dream and his demise, if Las Vegas was his perpetual stage. Once Newton's grandest achievement, Casa de Shenandoah is located in the center of Las Vegas and spans about 40 acres. He constructed it as his own haven, complete with aviaries of rare birds and a ranch of million-dollar Arabian horses, luxurious car garages, artificial lakes, and verdant landscapes. Newton was open about his desire to transform the estate into the Graceland of Las Vegas, a place where people could visit to see his memorabilia, eat, get married, and even get a car wash. It would be an extravagant setting where anyone could enter and experience the aura of Mr. Las Vegas. He partnered with CSD LLC, which was run by Lacey and Dorothy Harbour, in 2001. Newton made a fortune from the deal, but the exact figures are still unknown. While some stories mention a $70 million project with $20 million going to Newton, others say CSD invested $50 million and gave him $19.5 million. In any case, the dream soon turned into a nightmare. Following years of delays, CSD filed a lawsuit against Newton in 2012 for allegedly purposefully staying at Casa de Shenandoah as though he had never intended to depart and for refusing to turn over assets and mementos. There were startling specifics in the claims. Penguins and wallabies left in filthy circumstances, stalls smelling of urine, hundreds of tons of horse excrement heaped as high as a man's head, and guard dogs attacking employees, forcing them to flee to cars or trees for safety. Newton was also accused of harassment by other workers, who described the unpleasant and wet kisses they claimed they had to endure. The bankruptcy court ordered Casa de Shenandoah to be sold for an estimated $50 million after the controversy surfaced. In actuality, the property's 2013 listing price of $70 million fell to $30 million by 2014. After being forced to relocate, the Newton family took refuge in two smaller homes that were only valued roughly $5 million apiece. In stark contrast to the lavish home he had once proudly displayed on TV. After a short-term agreement expired in 2015, Newton was able to return to Casa de Shenandoah and give tours, allowing guests to see his artifacts, take in the horses, and explore the grounds. However, rather than producing consistent revenue, the project infuriated nearby residents with its cacophony of traffic and noise, leading to conflicts with local authorities. Casa de Shenandoah was sold within a year, bringing Newton's vision of a private kingdom to a close. Under the guise of renovations, tours were completely suspended in 2018 and never resumed. Originally intended to serve as evidence of an illustrious career, Casa de Shenandoah turned into a financial and legal nightmare. It devoured tens of millions of dollars and brought Newton's reputation to its knees, turning Mr. Las Vegas from a glamorous figure into a story about debt, legal action, and scandal. Wayne Newton once again astounded the world in 2007 with a satirical detail. At Oakland Airport, he left his private jet. The airplane, which was once a representation of his wealth and affluent lifestyle, was now in a state of decay and would be too expensive to fix. According to airport employees, it was essentially abandoned, with a rusting body and a system so damaged that it was no longer able to fly. The plane swiftly became indisputable proof of Newton's decline since he lacked the resources to keep it up. He made the perplexing choice to have the plane disassembled, transported to Las Vegas, and then put back together in his estate's yard 3 years later. The revived aircraft was no longer able to fly. It was a strange ornament that just sat there, visible from the street. It was a bitter symbol to many. The hollow shell of an extravagant existence has now rotted away, leaving behind the pride of an A-list celebrity. The public's perception of Newton and Casa de Shenandoah was further tarnished by that picture. It was now a strange sight of a legend rather than a brilliant dream, keeping himself trapped in the remains of glistening recollections. When he was in his 60s, he stood in the yard and gazed at the grounded jet as if he were looking into a horrible reality. All that remained of the former glory was a layer of paint that was fading over time. Wayne Newton demonstrated that the lights of Las Vegas never completely went out for him as he entered the 21st century, but not at the height of his success in the 1970s and 1980s. He moved into television and nostalgia-driven shows in place of large, ongoing residencies, where viewers could revisit recollections of a bygone era in addition to hearing his voice. He made an appearance on E's reality show, The Entertainer, in 2005. Contestants competed for the opportunity to lead their own one-year show and perform alongside Newton. It enabled him to leverage his name to coach up-and-coming performers while keeping him in step with contemporary entertainment. Newton made a comeback to Vegas in 2007 in a variety of capacities. He performed Viva Las Vegas, which had essentially become his life's anthem, and introduced players at the NBA All-Star Game held in the city. He and partner Cheryl Burke began Dancing with the Stars that same year. Even though he lost in the third round, he gave television viewers a glimpse of a tough gentleman. In his final years, Las Vegas was not hesitant to take on new challenges. In an uncommon but noteworthy fusion of two well-known genres, he was also the first celebrity guest on The Price is Right, which was recorded directly on the set of DWTS. As a temporary farewell to the stage, Newton launched Once Before I Go at the Tropicana in 2009. As promised, he declared a hiatus in 2010 in order to rest his voice, spend more time with his family, and be ready for the next phase of his career. In 2016, he made a reappearance at Bally's with the lounge performance Up Close and Personal. Newton left a lasting impression this time. He played up to 13 self-taught instruments in addition to singing. Additionally, it was a tactic to protect his voice when performing frequently, particularly at Fremont. The event became an emotional trip through his history thanks to the inclusion of snippets from his television and cinema work. Newton commemorated 60 years in show business with Mr. Las Vegas at Caesars Palace from January to May 2019 following over 30,000 strip performances. He frequently talked about his unique relationship with Caesar, the partner who had supported him through many highs and lows. Throughout the performances, Newton was featured in a 2020 Caesars Entertainment television commercial that aired across North America, despite the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic momentarily silenced Las Vegas. His kind words: Las Vegas missed its audiences, and more importantly, he, the man who keeps Mr. Las Vegas burning, missed them too. Although he was not as dominant at the box office as he once was, Wayne Newton continued to be a constant in his later years. A first-hand observer of Las Vegas, his perseverance shone that he never accepted disappearing into the background, whether it was through lounge performances or reality shows. Though it carried more nostalgia than ever before, the spotlight may have waned. Wayne Newton, the only anchor he could rely on, was still a man who was close to his family despite the dazzling lights of Las Vegas. Amid never-ending scandals and financial disasters. From 1968 till 1985, he was married to Elaine Okamura for the first time. Together, they had a single daughter. Newton never gave up on his position as a parent, even if the relationship ended in divorce. Despite his demanding performing schedule, he still tried to find time for his child. After being single for almost 10 years, he remarried in 1994 to Kathleen McCrone, an Ohio lawyer. The marriage had a daughter, Kathleen, who became Newton's most significant source of support during years of legal battles, debt, and controversy. However, turmoil also affected family members. Newton's daughter experienced serious pregnancy problems in 2010, giving birth early and going into a coma. It was the time when Mr. Las Vegas faced his biggest fear, that of losing his child in front of him. According to reports, Newton said he would do whatever it took to save her. Fortunately, she lived, but the experience permanently scarred Newton's heart, serving as a reminder that the fear of losing a loved one is worse than any financial catastrophe. Age started to make its imprint. Newton had to postpone his comeback to the stage in 2021 due to a severe spinal injury. Resigning for health reasons felt like a harsh punishment for an artist who saw the stage as his lifeblood. Nevertheless, he remained determined. He would sing until the very end, as long as he was able to stand. Wayne Newton, who is in his 80s, continues to stay in the spotlight even though many of his contemporaries have long moved into the background. Following the pandemic, he partnered with Caesars and carried on playing in smaller venues where the crowd and artist were so near that you could hear every applause and chuckle. Newton did more than just sing. He also shared anecdotes, gave candid answers to fans' queries, and made every performance feel like a friendly, intimate exchange. Pressure, passion, and paradox are the forces that keep him on stage. Newton has consistently maintained that he feels genuinely alive on stage, where he finds his breath and vitality. However, despite decades of litigation and debt, money is still a weight that probably forces him to stick to his plan. Every performance is a source of delight as well as a means of making amends for his lavish past. Even if he doesn't have as much work as he did in his prime, the seats are still full. In addition to hearing the voice of someone who is searching for Las Vegas, audiences come to see the tenacity of a man who has endured all hardships and still won't give up. They believe that Newton's comeback demonstrates that an artist's soul can endure any controversy. He made an appearance in a Caesars advertisement with a straightforward yet poignant message during the pandemic. Above all, we have missed you, but we have also missed the nightlife. It was more than just a call for tourists to come back to Vegas. It seemed as though Newton himself was making a sincere confession. In order to survive when all has been gone, he needs the audience and the stage. Wayne Newton has been virtually associated with Las Vegas for almost 60 years. No other performer has played such a significant role in the development of the city or been so closely associated with it. In addition to his tens of thousands of performances, he earned the nickname Mr. Las Vegas because, like the neon lights, casinos, and the legends of Sinatra and Elvis before him, his very presence became ingrained in the city's character. The quantity of shows was never the only factor in Newton's influence. He demonstrated that Las Vegas could support an artist and that an artist could support Las Vegas. He played a key role in establishing the practice of residencies, which saw singers signing long-term contracts with a particular hotel. This model has since established the cornerstone pillar of the city's entertainment sector, continued by contemporary performers such as Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, Elton John, and Celine Dion. Newton was much than just a singer to devoted listeners. He was a representation of perseverance and evidence that adversity and art can coexist. Generations of people remembered him as the man who made every night in Vegas a party, despite the fact that his reputation was damaged by debts, lawsuits, and scandals. There are two sides to Wayne Newton's legacy. On the one hand, Mr. Las Vegas's eternal brightness. On the other hand, a warning of the terrible cost that may result from ambition, excess, and poor management. Younger artists can learn from his life narrative that there are shadows hidden behind the glory that must never be disregarded. All of Wayne Newton's life, he has been surrounded by the lights of Las Vegas, and it was those lights that cost him too much. A guy with debt, crushed hopes, and an elderly age devoid of tranquility stood behind the cheers. Nevertheless, he decided to continue singing despite his physical weakness. Maybe because Newton still felt like he existed solely on stage. When we look at him at 83, we see a guy who bears genuine anguish but does not give up, not merely a legend brought low by tragedy. And perhaps that's why people continue to cheer him on, not for his waning grandeur, but for his tenacity. It's not just Wayne Newton's narrative. It challenges each of us to consider the positive and negative aspects of our own life. And what strikes you the most when you think about Wayne Newton? A specific performance, a memory, or a picture of him that endures? Sometimes the audience's memory is the artist's most enduring legacy. Please share your ideas in the comments section. To ensure you don't miss the upcoming tales, remember to subscribe to our channel. Another adventure, another loss, another brave deed.